Welcome to the Blaize interview. My name is Blaize, and this is
Abe Parr.
All right, thank you. So thank you for coming on the show. So I always like to start off by asking, how did you get into comedy?
Yeah, great question. I actually got into sketch comedy first. That was back in 2013, just about. And,
okay.
One of my roommates was a YouTuber. He's a Sri Lankan guy.
Sri Lankan?
Sri Lankan.
Sri
yeah,
Lankan?
From Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And he was actually pretty big in Sri Lanka. And it's funny, I didn't realize how much of a celebrity he is until we would go out somewhere and people would recognize him. Right?
Oh, that's cool.
So I got into that first. And then I got into improv.
Okay.
I did the program at UCB.
Okay.
Did the improv program there. Did sketch writing, some sketch writing programs there also. And I always wanted to get into stand-up, and I was always afraid of bombing. That was one of the biggest fears. It was so scary to me. Like, what if I go up there and bomb? So finally in 2020, I decided to,
say fuck it.
Fuck it and just go deep in. I signed up for a comedy class.
Nice.
And
which one?
Greg Dean.
Oh yeah. You're the second person
comedy.
to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, out of Santa Monica, and right the week before class is about, and I was super excited because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna learn this, I'm gonna finally conquer this fear. Right the week before class gets started, coronavirus shuts everything down.
Oh, amen.
So then they pivoted and they did it online.
Yeah, Zoom.
On Zoom, which was an experience in its own, and credit to them, they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to.
Everyone was. We all were.
Everyone was, but it wasn't necessarily the best experience for me trying to go in for the first time. So then I during the pandemic I went back to focus on sketch writing.
Yeah.
And character creation. I actually created a YouTube channel.
Okay, cool. What is it?
It's about a fake psychic. A fake Indian psychic.
Okay, that's cool.
Who's not only not a real psychic, but he's also not really even Indian.
Okay.
So,
what's the name of the?
It's Ranjib the Magnificent.
That's the name of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Ranjib the Magnificent.
Ranjib the Magnificent. Ranjeeb the Magnificent.
Right. Just so you know, I don't think I've told you this, but I'm a little dyslexic. Okay. So if I mess up the words, I apologize.
I'm just spelling it out just in case anybody watching this wants to go check it out.
You got it.
Just shoot us a subscribe. We're actually so. Then what happened was and so that was 2020. We had a little crack production team that was working on a few clips and just kind of messing around, getting used to things, getting our team assembled and all that stuff. And then in 2021, I actually had a really major accident. I was riding a Lime scooter on Sunset.
Ooh, that's scary.
Late at night, and was involved in a hit and run.
Oh.
Ended up needing pretty major facial reconstruction surgery, actually.
Oh.
I had a broken jaw. I had a bunch of broken bones in my eye socket, and my cheekbone was completely smashed to dust. So that was on one side of the face. So that took about 3 months, 3 different surgeries to recover from. And it was funny. After that, after I recovered, I started getting back out and producing shows a little bit, live shows. I wanted to get into the live show stuff.
Nice.
And I was producing a couple of poetry shows, believe it or not. So that was kind of
elegant of you.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, and I kind of fell into it. But I was sitting around, and actually something happened. I'll tell you, there was a specific trigger that happened. But I told myself one day, I was like, dude, what are you doing? You actually really want to do comedy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So instead of wasting your time or dilly-dallying.
Energy.
Yeah, now we're post-pandemic. So then I went to look up open mics, right? And I found a great venue right by my house, and I'll give them a little plug because I'm there a lot. But the Third Wheel.
Third Wheel is always great. It's always a great place.
Great place. And it was a mile away from my house.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, if that's not a sign of so I went to that midnight mic.
Yes, that's a great mic. Yeah, the energy there, it's
wild.
It's wild, bro.
Yeah,
fucking
it's
animals.
Wild. And so, went up there and my mindset was, dude, who cares if you bomb? You had the most ultimate bomb. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You're not gonna walk off stage and have to have facial reconstruction surgery.
So it already happened.
Yeah, it already happened, right? Yeah. So it really made me overcome that fear, and be okay with going out and trying new things and trying to really find my voice, right? And that was about a year ago, actually.
Nice.
That was
in December.
In December, yeah, just about this time, and so since then, there's so many great opportunities in LA, in a place like LA, to go out and just do mics, network with comics, network with show bookers.
Yes, and it's such a great community. Like, people, once you really start getting involved in the community, you start talking to people, you start hanging out with different people. Like, you really get enthralled in the community, and it's really like fun. Like, shameless plug, I was helping out Sam Howard today, helping her move.
Nice.
You know, she's moving places. She's really asked, and it's like, you know, help, and I was like, sure, I'll help out. And so, you know, just help out a friend.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's community like that. You know, you really make friends and, you know, friendships in this industry.
And I think that's important too in this industry, because you're gonna be around a lot of the same people. So you want to be around those people who help you grow, and who help you kind of who really have your back, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to meet all sorts of people in this industry. Some people will love you, some people will hate you.
Some people are crazy.
Yeah, some people are just autistic, right? I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to shamelessly call anybody out. But when I say that, everybody can, you know, a couple names jump to people.
Yeah. To each their own name.
Yeah, right. To all of you autistic comics out there, I still love y'all, you know. But that's what's been cool to me over the last year, is just getting to meet different people from different walks of life, really diverse comedy.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, one of the things that I was always scared of, it's almost like growing up as an Indian kid, I didn't know that Indian kids could be funny. Right? And we were always told, no, that's like, you know, that's not, you can't be funny. You didn't see an Indian comic in the 90s, right? We had Bollywood, we had all this other stuff, but and I grew up with the Seinfelds and the Chappelles and the Pryors, and one of my favorite bits is Bill Hicks's The Ride. Sometimes you're flush, sometimes you're bust, but life goes on, you know. And so the first brown comic I ever really saw. And I was in Malaysia, of all places, and it was 2006, and I'd never heard of this comic at that point, but everybody internationally knew him. He was huge, and which is weird, because I knew comedy in America, and it was Russell Peters. First, that one where he's wearing the white shirt and the yellow background, and I think it's somewhere in Canada. I forget the name of it.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah, it's old one. Yeah. And I saw it in 2006, and I mean, just the jokes he was hitting. You know, talking about his growing up as a minority in Canada and all that stuff. That was the first time I really looked at a comic, who, you know, lo and behold, was a little bit kind of like me, taking all of these, and I got into comedy because, and I know that's one of the questions that you kind of asked.
Yeah, no, this is still a part of it. This is why you get into it. Right. I love it.
Yeah,
Keep going. You're doing great.
And so, one of the reasons why I got into comedy is, one, I have a really unique perspective, because I moved to America when I was 7.
Where were you born?
India.
India?
Yeah,
okay, nice.
And deep in, like, northeast India, and in India, you know, I was just a normal kid. I wasn't different. I didn't look different.
Yeah, you just looked like everyone else.
Yeah, so, you know, it was like, whatever, cool. And then when I was 7, we moved here, and I'm old enough to remember going to school in India. You know, I have some bits on
preschool and
preschool up until the 2nd grade, actually. 2nd
grade? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So so moving here at 7 years old. Into in the 2nd grade. First of all, I'd never even been on an airplane. I didn't even really know what an airplane was conceptually at that point.
Did airplanes ever, like, did you ever see an airplane, or did you ever see like a helicopter go through over your village or town on a?
I'm sure there were, but I think it was one of those things that probably, if it did, because air travel at that time in India just wasn't that big either.
I get you.
It was a lot of rail travel.
Ah, okay. Especially because it's so sparse.
No, India is very kind of dense. It's think about it this way. It's
It's a huge continent. It's a huge country.
It's an area. It's a landmass.
Yeah.
A third the size of the U.S. with 4 times the population.
Yeah.
So it is kind of spread out a little bit.
Yeah.
But the British built that train system, and that ran for a while. It was actually in the 90s after we left and we traveled back. Then we started actually flying around a lot more. So, but 7 years old, taking a plane to, and for some reason we had to have like 7 different layovers in because I think there was some bad weather or some shit happened.
Do you remember when you moved, like a month time of year? Was it like December?
It was August.
August, okay.
Yeah, it was August. Because the first like 3 weeks or so, we just kind of got used to it. We ended up moving to Georgia eventually, but the first place we landed was actually Boulder, Colorado. So going from this place in India where the year-round average temperature is literally 91 degrees on average, to Boulder, Colorado.
Damn, right.
And we got there in August, and so I saw snow for the first time. Like, I experienced America. A funny story, I was in the 2nd grade, and I used to have these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shoes.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Cool.
I used to love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
And so when snow season started coming, I remember one of the first snowfalls of the season. It might have been the first one. We're out in PE playing soccer, and I have my turtle shoes on, and this little girl comes running up to me. She goes, Hey, you can't be out here unless you have snowshoes on. You can't play out here.
Ah.
And I'm 2 months into America.
Yeah.
I've just discovered the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Love them. I really want to run around and play. I don't know what snow is. I don't know the concept of like slipping around in snow. I look at her. I look down at my shoes. I look back at her and I go, "It's okay. I've got turtle power." And she looks at me and she's like, this is another 7-year-old girl, right? She looks at me and she's like, okay. She runs back to the teacher. I see her telling the teacher, I see the teacher be like, like that. She comes running back. She's like, hey, the teacher said it doesn't matter. You have to come inside. So, yeah, just like little stories like that. And then we moved to Georgia and
humidity.
Yeah, back to a humid place, but that culturally was completely different.
A slap in the face?
A little bit. My neighborhood where I grew up in is about a mile away from one of the biggest Confederate monuments. It's this etching of 3 Confederate generals on the side of a mountain.
Yeah,
it's called Stone Mountain.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I've heard of it.
And it actually used to be owned by the KKK. They used to burn crosses up there. Donated to Governor of Georgia in I think it was 1956 to protest the Brown versus Board of Education and desegregation of schooling. Gave it to the state of Georgia as a gift, right? And so at first, moving into this place and seeing this thing, you're kind of like, oh, okay, cool. You don't really think about it, right?
Yeah, you don't understand it.
You don't understand it. And then you start growing up and you're kind of like, wait, hold on. Well, you guys used to do what here? Like, hold on a sec. What? So all of that perspective, I think, for me, comes out in my comedy.
Yeah.
Right? And at this point, I guess this is a payback for all of the Asian and minority comics who, like me, felt like they couldn't, be out there and be funny. But it feels like for us, that stuff is, people are more and more receptive to hearing about that experience that we had. So
especially here in Los Angeles, they have a huge backing. I mean, like they have the was it Woke Asian Tour, or what is it? The Woke Asians tour.
I believe so, something like that. Yeah.
Some Woke Asian Tour. I forget I can't remember what it is. I know they also have a Filipino comedy set out here. I think, do they have an Indian comedy?
I know. Actually, and another shameless plug, and I hope she's doing all right. I haven't talked to her in a little bit, but there's Shilpa Das used to host an South Asian themed variety show. I was a little bit involved with. I did some.
Where was that at?
That was out of UCB at the time, and it was called South Asian AF. And it was an offshoot of another show called Asian AF out of UCB.
Okay.
But that was one of the casualties with UCB, drastically reducing. I don't think they're doing those types of.
Well, because of COVID, a lot of places. I mean, they weren't. There are a lot of places like that aren't giving in as many students as they were beforehand.
Right. Right.
Not especially not being able to do shows and sets. It's always really hurtful for a lot of them. But yeah, I get that. I mean, like you said, like for me, they always say comedy is a lot of when you first start is imitation, like who you see. For me, it was a lot like Gabriel Iglesias, George Lopez, and I'd even pull for like my other favorites, which was like Eddie Murphy, and
sure.
And when like Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is. People forget how great of a comedian Jamie Foxx is.
Oh yeah.
Like the Jamie Foxx show is hilarious. Yeah. I forget what roast it was, but he did a roast and he just murdered it. He was hosting the roast and he was just I don't even remember who they were roasting. It wasn't Shaq, but it was like early 2000s, one of the first roast.
Yeah. Jamie Foxx is great.
Who do you feel like you were emulating when you first started? Like,
I think Russell Peters is one of those names. I mean, the Brown comics. Aziz Ansari is another is an obvious one because he grew up in the South. Also, he grew up in South Carolina.
Yes,
and he talks a lot about his experiences growing up in South Carolina. Right. Same thing with Hassan Minaj is another one, and there's the Brown comics definitely help a Brown comic like me look at it and be like, oh yeah, no, cool.
It's more acceptable.
Yeah, we can do this.
Yes,
we can do this. Yeah, it just be funny, right?
Yeah. But that's the thing is like we're all scared, especially when you haven't seen anyone do it like that. But like now that you're doing it, you like become more. It's freeing. Yeah. And you see others like especially like we do. I did a lot of hookah lounges and a lot of Indian folks there, a lot of Middle Eastern folks there. So you gotta, there's so many ways to like brought out that way, and they love to see people like them out there.
Yeah.
We always see someone like us out there.
Yeah, totally. But with that being said, there's a lot of wide range of comics that I think have inspired me in their own way, and even if it's like a Seinfeld, just such a class. I grew up watching the TV show Seinfeld. And it almost honestly educated me on a lot of these things. Because growing up in a more of a conservative Indian household, my parents weren't going to talk about sex and dating and all this stuff.
And now they can't wait for you to get married.
I know, don't get me started on that one. They are out there like fielding requests.
Fielding requests.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You don't need an agency. Your mom and your dad need an agency.
Yeah. The messed up thing is like I don't make the best dating decisions myself.
Fair.
So it probably wouldn't be. My mom, great. She best cook ever. Really sensible person. Love my mom, and I'm like, she probably would make a better decision than I would. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe at this point, I'm getting older and older. Maybe I'm drawing a date in the future, and I'm like, okay, if I haven't met the one by then, because
watch your parents. It's gonna be like one of those romance stories. Like they're gonna finally pick one, and then you're like dating. And it's gonna be like you guys are on your way. You're like, oh yeah, it's fun. She's a beautiful woman. She's smart, intelligent, and then you meet her.
Oh,
the dream woman. She walks into your life. You don't know who she is, and you're about to go out. And you're like 2 days before the wedding. This is what's gonna happen, my man. I foresee the future. This is bad.
See. My dark mind as a writer, especially a dark comic writer, is that the way that I would do it, and this is my fucked up sense of humor, is I would make it a comedy where at first, they fall in love or whatever, but then what ends up happening is the girl that he rejects ends up committing suicide. and then that fucks with the guy so much emotionally that he has so much emotional stress and trauma that he tries to commit suicide, but he's unsuccessful. But that makes the other one so emotionally like.
Bro, this is Romeo and Juliet with extra steps.
This is like
Romeo and Juliet with extra steps.
This is Inception of Romeo and Juliet.
No, my man.
And then only to come back to the first one, just faked her death of jumping off a bridge.
Yeah, this is Romeo and Juliet. This is definitely Romeo and Juliet.
Modern Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
We're remaking everything, right?
They're all e-girls.
Look, if anybody in Hollywood takes that, we're coming back to this, and can I verbally declare royalties?
I guess. I mean, does that work in Hollywood? I don't know. I doubt it. Doubt it. Very doubt it. It's like, well, you didn't produce it, you didn't make it, you didn't copyright anything, you didn't make merchandise. Oh, all right, fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's just a frivolous solid.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's hard, man. Like, one of my biggest fears is always like, which I always tell everyone, is like meeting a woman and impregnating her, and then we just not end up clicking anymore, and then her taking the kids away.
Oh yeah. I mean, that happens a lot.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
You know, and it's weird. Divorce is much more commonplace now. My parents, it's funny. I'm pretty sure at times they hate each other, right? But they just come from a place where divorce is not an option.
It's only death, bitch.
Yeah, right. Right. So it's just funny to watch them, because whenever I go back home and just sometimes I have to play peacemaker between all of them, because I'm there and they're and they do it all the time with each other when they're around each other, right? So they're used to it. But for the third person that's sitting there, you're just like, God damn it, stop. Like I have to be like between like, hey, can you just chill out? It's okay. This happened.
Yeah.
You have to be like a referee almost.
That's not healthy. That's unhealthy. At least you're not in the house anymore for that.
Yeah, well, I moved out a long time ago, so and I love my parents. I talk a lot about my parents, especially on stage, but it's and when I was back home this Thanksgiving, I actually wanted to sit down with them, and I told them, I go, hey, here are all the jokes that I tell about you. I mean, I cleaned a lot of them up. I didn't give them, the
dirty version.
Yeah, the real.
You gotta wait for that for the special.
Right, yeah, exactly. You gotta pay, get a Netflix. You gotta get off my Netflix subscription. So that's where it's funny when a lot of people talk about being on like their parents' subscription or living. I'm getting to the point where my parents are on my subscriptions for things, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to go subscribe themselves. Unless it's Indian TV. Weirdly, they used to have a satellite dish that beams them Bollywood crap. And
that's pretty cool.
That's
pretty cool. What did you like did you have like a favorite Bollywood movie at all?
Yeah, I had a few. So when I was a kid in India, there was a big actor when I was growing up. His name is Amitabh Bachchan.
Don't ask me to repeat it.
Yeah, and I mean, even his kids are famous actors now. He's Indian Godfather. So he, at that time, made a movie called Hum, which means us.
Okay.
It's a family movie, and as a kid, I loved that movie. There's an Indian comedy out there that is, to me, one of the funniest movies of all time. Just slapstick, super dumb, but super just hilarious, and the dumb premises that they come up with is a movie called Hera Fairy. Hera Fairy. So that was a pretty good one. Another one that I'll say is there's a movie about cricket. And
honestly, yeah.
And this one is pretty decent because it's half in English and half in Hindi. So it even gained some notoriety in like England and other places.
Okay.
And this movie is about the British as colonizers playing cricket, right? And basically they were discriminating against the Indians from playing cricket. And so the villagers and the British end up playing a cricket match, and the Indians win, which it's Britain's game and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. And they were. I remember hearing about this, and they like played over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. The cricket games go for a while, but yeah. So those three movies, I think, really stick with me growing up. I didn't watch too much Bollywood, nearly as much as I probably should have. But those.
I mean, when you're a kid, you try and whatever your parents like, you're like, eh.
Yeah, and there's, I think, especially the last two of those, I saw, while my parents were watching it or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's actually pretty good, right? Like, okay, that one got me. And there's some great stuff now. There's all the subgenres in the Indian film markets are getting big. Like Tollywood is a Tamil one, and oh God, what's that guy's name? There's this big mega South Indian like action star.
Don't ask me these things, my friend. Don't ask me these things. I don't even know the American ones.
Right. I was gonna say this is something that I should be knowing the name of.
I don't even know. Like I barely know Chris Evans. I know there's like 5 different Chris's. There's like Hemsworth. There's Evans. There's the other ones. I don't know, Pratt. There's Chris Pratt. Who's also a fucking. Marvel character. I think there's 2 Chris's in the Marvels? Oh, 3. Evans, Pratt, and Hemsworth.
You're asking the wrong person on that because I stopped watching those. I think the last.
Just go more to the right. Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah, I think the last superhero movie that I watched was was Batman Began. Batman Began. That's the one that Heath Ledger basically killed himself. During, right?
Yeah, it was. Afterwards, because he did one more movie after that, and then he died.
Which one was the one that he played? He
played Joker. It was the Batman Begins, Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
Yeah. I think that was the last one that I saw.
So you missed out all on the MCU.
I have, and I feel kind of shameful about that now at this point because I missed so much of it.
It takes a while.
Yeah, and it was weird. So once I started getting into sketch, I really stopped watching a lot of longer form stuff, and I guess my attention spans.
So you mainly just watch like TV shows and stuff like that, other sketches.
So TV shows, yeah, and then probably for the last 4 or 5 years, it's a lot of clip based stuff, and and sketches, and
a lot of TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok is compelling, right?
Okay.
Instagram.
Before I forget, what was the actor's name? Did you find it?
I didn't. Hold on.
I won't have to. I was wondering because I don't know if you found it or not. I was just trying to fill this so that way there wasn't quiet space. Right. I was mainly just talking to the microphones like you're talking to all the fucking Chris's.
Right.
Just like how many Chris's are there? There's this Chris. There's that Chris. There's another Chris. Southeast Asian.
South. It's gonna be. What am I trying to do?
I don't even know.
I know.
Bollywood famous action movie star.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always like the what is the new? Let's see. Who's the most famous action star now? It would definitely have to be The Rock.
The Rock for sure
is the action star of the 2010s. The 2010s, he was the action star of the 2010s. The same way, like Arnold Schwarzenegger was the action star of the 90s.
Arnold.
Late 80s and 90s, that was him.
I mean, that iconic scene of was it Carl Weathers' arm that's fallen off?
Bastard or no? Carl Weathers' arm.
In that Arnold movie, Get to the Chopper.
Get to the Chopper. Predator,
right?
Predator.
And Carl Weathers is trying to shoot the Predator's arm. So I will say one of the TV shows that I loved a lot, especially for its writing, was Arrested Development. I thought it
has great writing.
Brilliant. I thought
great writing.
I thought it was always very, 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 very underrated. And I kind of saw how it struggled to get picked up multiple times, right?
Yeah, because it was on what? Fox or ABC?
It was on Fox at first. Then I believe it went to Netflix.
It was on Netflix for a bit.
Yeah, it was on Fox. The first 3 seasons were
Fox, and then Netflix.
Did they go somewhere else?
No, I think it finished on Netflix.
Yeah,
it finished on Netflix. Because why would you leave Netflix? Because especially that because Arrested Development was like the first show that Netflix was like from pushing out there. It was like Arrested Development, House of Cards.
Yeah.
The OGs, the old OGs.
Right. So what do you watch?
Me?
Yeah.
A lot of YouTube, honestly, now.
Yeah, right.
I watch a lot of like football stuff, a lot of basketball, like history, sports history.
Yeah.
Jaguar Gator 9, selfless plug. I love to watch his shit because he does a lot of like history stuff and a lot of like, oh, this ref is bad, but this ref is bad because of all these fucking factors of why he's bad.
Yeah.
And he does like he just started doing college football, but he usually just does a whole bunch of like, and he doesn't do like new stuff. He does stuff like from the 80s and the 60s and the 70s, and he like finds footage of like all these films. He does a lot of great research. He's a really, really good like sports YouTuber that I like because I like the history of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny because that's all of that stuff to me now is so compelling.
Yeah.
Right? And now they're really starting to figure out how to monetize that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird the little rabbit holes that I'll get into.
Yeah.
There's this one that I watch where it's like tribal Pakistani people trying food from all around the world. Some stuff they
that's
like.
That's just fascinating. Yeah.
It's just that's what I'm saying. It's just
because you're like, okay, let's see what because you see one like, okay, cool, because those reaction channels are actually kind of fun.
They are, yeah.
They're kind of fun. I usually like that sports. Another thing I like is like development and like how cities are built and like like how LA was built. Like if you really like how you've heard the story of Chavez Ravine, right? About Dodger Stadium.
Oh yeah, how that was gonna
12 families were it was supposed to be all like new development, like what's it called?
Wasn't it supposed to be like project
housing? That was supposed to be project housing, and then that fell through, and everyone was just kicked out, and then they kicked them out. The last people who were there because the Dodgers wanted it.
Yeah. Then they got some sort of very favorable deal from the city, and
not favorable at all.
Oh no. I thought there was something like
they got kicked the fuck out.
No. The Dodgers got the favorable.
Oh yeah, they did. They got favorable too.
It was kind of like a scandal almost.
Oh yeah, it is. It's like people. A lot of people in LA don't like the Dodgers who have roots in LA because of that.
Right.
I mean, there's a huge like subpopulation, but. Even my grandma's like, "Los Dodgers." Los vamos, Los Dodgers.
So you're a Dodger fan?
Yeah. I mean, we've been rocky. We've been rocky this last year, but it's all good. We'll bounce back with all that money next year, baby.
There you go.
So it's like being a Dodger. I mean, like, I'm a Laker fan, but I feel bad. Lakers are going to do good this year. They're going to be bad. But, it is what it is. You're a fan.
Yeah. You
got to ride or die, bitch. You got to ride or die.
So, are you a big baseball fan? You keep up with baseball?
I'm passive. I keep more of football than I do with baseball. But you find the actor's name?
I didn't. I couldn't find it. So I'll go back, find it, and I'll paste it in the comments. As Ranjib the Magnificent. That's my follow-up promise.
All right, that's good. That's good. We'll keep it. Okay.
I was gonna ask, what do you think of that? Since we're talking about sports a little bit, what do you think of that Japanese pitcher who just signed with the Mets?
Wait, who's the Japanese one?
Shani
Otani. Did he go to the Nets?
No. There's a new guy.
There's a new guy.
Yeah, he just signed the most ludicrous
I haven't heard of it yet.
With the Mets.
That was that today?
That was like a few days ago.
I don't really keep up with free agency that much.
Okay.
Because the only thing that really mattered in this free agency I heard was Aaron Judge.
Oh yeah, he signed it. He
signed a massive fucking contract.
$400 and something million.
Shit.
Kodai Senga.
Let me see.
This guy.
Let me see images.
Sorry, my phone is super tiny. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Bro.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I think I remember seeing something about it, but I didn't click on the article.
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy is nasty. Like some of the pitches he throws. I'm a big baseball fan. I still play baseball on a men's team.
That's
Shout
cool.
out to the South Bay Monarchs.
That's cool though. No, like especially once you get older, like getting into leagues like that is so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, over in Sherman Oaks,
I messed up our team name. We're the Bay City Monarchs. Sorry, Monarchs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
Sorry, you were saying.
No, because you were talking about cricket earlier. There's actually a cricket, like a huge cricket field out there, like a whole bunch of them over there in Sherman Oaks. I just went over there just to hang out and just walk around, check out the park, and I saw it and I was like, oh fuck, this is pretty cool. Like, and I was like, you see teams and I was like a whole bunch of kids playing. And I was like, this is cool. And then I saw a little further away. There's a whole, like the men's league, and I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. Like the whole cricket little league. I was like, damn. And you see this people just hanging out there on the side.
Yeah.
It was really fun to watch.
Cricket is really interesting for anybody looking to understand it. And I feel like we're throwing out plugs for people. This guy doesn't even know me, but he's got a great channel called John Boy Media.
Oh, fucking love John Boy Media.
Yeah. He's another one that's great, right?
The lip reads. I love the lip reads. He's like, fuck you.
I love the baseball fights. Like, and he just goes and it's funny. He just picks up on these little things.
Yeah.
About, in other words, so he does a good explanation of cricket.
Yeah.
He does another good one that's Finnish baseball. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but this is the weirdest sport I've ever seen in my life. It's like Finland's version of baseball.
Oh, yeah. The Friday ones. He does, because I also saw one where there was like the pig one where they're throwing the pig everywhere.
Oh shit! I haven't seen that.
I'll show you that one later. But go to the Finnish baseball because I remember it was like this is what the Finnish thought baseball was.
Yeah. He's like some guy went over to Finland and he's like, okay, I think this is game, but he didn't like clearly.
He didn't get the rules.
Yeah, he didn't get the rules. But it's back to that kind of earlier point. It's so funny nowadays because that's where engagement happens. Younger kids these days aren't consuming media in the same way. And I came to LA in 2011 thinking that I wanted to be an actor, right?
I can see that.
I did one movie. I played a doctor.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And your mom always wanted you to be a doctor.
I fulfilled her dream there. But yeah, no, I played a doctor. It's a movie, 2012 movie called Phase.
That's pretty that's pretty quick.
Yeah. That was. Can
you get it on like Amazon?
You can get it on YouTube. That was a super independent movie. But it is, I believe it is out there on YouTube or Vimeo somewhere. Again, another link that I'll post if anybody's interested in watching me. I do a lot in this movie, actually. I diagnose a young girl with cancer. Because the implication is it's probably caused by cell phone usage or increased cell phone usage.
That's funny.
And then because I'm on a news report breaking this out, the assumption is that the government wants me dead, right? So yeah, it's a little interesting. It's a bit of a raw project, but after doing that, I wanted to focus more on, and that's when I got into sketch with my buddies, with my roommate, and that was just fun, right?
Okay. So you went from acting to the sketching. Like, how was that like transition? Like, where did you meet? You guys roommates, like, and then, like, how did you like
we had
him
mutual friends. We had mutual friends, and he was already established. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. You know, I do some acting stuff, but I'd be interested in helping out or writing or mm-hmm. If you need any help. And so he's like, yeah, totally. You know, totally. I definitely need some help, right? Mm-hmm. So I helped him out. You know, appeared a little bit in some of his sketches, and then did some behind the scenes work in some of them. And I found that transition to be actually really easy because it was like being on set. In fact, I found it to be a little bit better or quicker. And what I really learned with him is how to write a script and then go and execute on that and get the scenes that you need, right? Mm-hmm. And watching that be done. Whereas kind of in a full feature movie, you're more focused on, or I was being, you know, an actor. I was just focused on getting into character as that
doctor,
as that doctor, right? So I found it really kind of cool. And I'm also, I'm a tech guy at the end of the day. That's where my day job is. I'm a software architect.
Yes.
And so there's a natural draw to me to kind of being able to control your own monetization versus and I also worked at one of the top 2 talent agencies in the world. I won't mention their name because I still know the head of the I used to work for a lot of different heads of departments there, so I don't want to burn any bridges just in case the evil empire
comes and gets you.
Comes and watches this. I don't want to say which talent agency I work for, but I worked in their tech department, and I was kind of privy to a lot of deal data that they had. So I got to see a lot of analytics data and see where deals are going, and they're going towards licensing and they're going towards online, because these production companies come out there like John Boy Media.
Yeah.
They find something that they can spit out quickly, and it works and create compelling content, and you can get in that cycle of. And, once you get in, this is where we're trying to get to with Ranjeev. We've had a little bit of a struggle in me really spreading myself too thin with it. And
it's hard. It's hard when you got to work and you got to do this comedy and then you got to write.
Right. And so, and we're building up our team to be able to do that again. But that's the kind of intention, right? You never know when somebody's going to find your stuff and go, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I like this.
Yeah, I like this. Dope. And I found to do that, you really need lots of content. When you land on a channel, and if it's just got
two or three
things on there, you're not going to subscribe to it.
No.
Right?
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's just most people, like, it's about success. Success doesn't come right away. Success comes after just continuous work. You can't stop. So, like, everyone's like, oh, your podcast is doing good after 5 episodes. Like, yeah, so what?
Yeah.
So what? It's more like, I'm waiting to, once I get to episode 100, that's when, like, oh, they're going to start going through everything. Because, that's how people are. Like, Joe Rogan, he wasn't really successful in his early years. I mean, he was just that UFC guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
He was Fear Factor guy. And then after a while, then he started having all these random people on that he enjoyed having conversation. People like, now people want to be on his show. Beforehand, no one wanted to be on his show. Like, why would you be on his show? He's just some random dude.
Yeah. Somebody told me this when I first was getting into it was either sketch or improv, but they said, just focus on doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Focus on doing it. Focusing on getting better at it, being good at it. Right? Because success doesn't come overnight.
Yes.
And I haven't gotten into stand-up comedy until later in life. Right?
Yeah. That's fine.
I'm firmly in my 30s, late 30s too. Yeah. It's okay. People tell me I look like... They're always surprised to hear that I'm in my 30s.
I would say like 26, 27. If you told me that, I would believe it. It's because of the hair. It's because the way you have... It's because the hair. It's because the way you have a slick back. You look good, man. You look good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, no, I always appreciate it. So, so sometimes, I wish I was further along in this journey or
started
sooner or wasn't afraid of going out and doing stand-up because I've had as I've started doing it, I realized my fears were a little bit unfounded or kind of in my own head.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
And that stops us sometimes from going out and just doing it.
Yeah.
Creating it, just keep on doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because to your point, it takes a lot of repetitions to get to, and I love my mom. She tells me this all the time. Sometimes it can be easy to get down on yourself, and she kind of reminds me. She's like, look, anything that you've done that you've been good at, you weren't good at it right away. It took you a while. Whether you got good at a sport. Yeah. Or you got good at
software.
Software was repetition, tons and tons of repetition.
Yeah. I always say this. The first time you do something is the worst time you do something.
Yeah.
First time you ride a bike, you're falling off like a motherfucker. You know what I mean? But after you ride it, after you learn it, it's easier. First time you learn to throw a pitch, it's hard, man. You're boom, boom. First time you get if you hit a ground getting a ground ball, throwing to first base.
Yep.
The more you do it, the easier and the better you become at it. It's just that's just how it is. And podcasting, asking questions. I know each episode that I do, I always feel like I'm doing better. Like even with comedy, I always say the shit that I wrote 6 months ago.
Right.
I'm better now from that. I'm better than that shit that I wrote 6 months ago. So I have to keep progressing. Like even if you even if you don't use something that you used like 3 months ago and you moved on to something else, like keep that in your back pocket and just continue to grow, because sometimes things will come back into your life. Life is always changing.
Yeah, and you'll find different tags to say them, different ways to say them.
Different rooms, different groups.
Yeah, sometimes I find that the funniest tags I get off of my jokes are shit that other comics or audience members yell out. And I hear it, and it gets a huge laugh, and I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty fucking good. Like,
that's mine now.
Yeah, that's mine now. And to burn one, I talk about how come India doesn't have a World Cup team. You would think with all of these people in India, they could find 11 people to kick around a soccer ball, right? How's that statistically possible? And this comic the other night, she's Vietnamese. She yells out, she's like, it's because it's too crowded. That's not I'm like, oh shit, that's good. I'm gonna use that. And then went out to another room and used it,
and it killed.
It killed, right? Yeah. So I find that really cool about the community too, and invigorate. And I think you can view some of that stuff as two ways. I think some comics get really personal about that, or don't like it when people interrupt. I mean, sure, you don't want to heckle anybody, or you don't want to be obnoxious with what you are, but sometimes I find that interaction. It
depends. It depends on what it is.
It'll change the joke, right? Yeah. It'll make the joke funnier, or add a tag that you're like, oh, I didn't think of, or it's almost like a writing hack, a joke writing hack, right?
Speaking of writing, is how does script writing help you with your comedy writing? What's the difference? What's the similarities between both of those?
I'll start with the differences, because I think that's easier to get into. And what I've over the last year really had to focus on and make sure that I get good about this is in stand-up, I want the least amount of setup to get to a punchline, to get to the payoff, especially in the beginning.
I get you. You don't want too much exposition.
Right, especially when I first get on stage, I want you to laugh. I want to get to that first laugh as quickly as possible. I want you to be on board as quickly as possible. Then once I do that, then I can get into a little bit longer of a premise stuff, because you're already on board, and now you're kind of like, okay, where the fuck is he going with this? So I find that in stand-up writing, I've really had to focus on that. Whereas in sketch writing, it's more about setting up the scene or the premise or what's going on. What are little subtle things
that been on the wall.
That have been on the wall. One of the things that I really enjoy about sketch writing and script writing is writing dialogue. I will say I've always felt very comfortable writing dialogue. It's actually one of my favorite things to do, and I know not everybody feels that way.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm more of a premise guy. You fill in the blanks.
Right. But I really, and especially getting to understand a character and be like, okay, what would you say there? What would you say there? What are we trying to do here? Having that internal battle with your mind. Yeah.
That sounds fun. That sounds like a little puzzle, and trying to mentally fence with yourself.
Yeah. And again, because for me, because I had to grow up in so many different places growing up and really try to fit in, and I'm lucky too. I've gotten to travel the world. I've gotten to spend time in Europe. I've gotten to spend time in Southeast Asia and in Singapore and Malaysia. I gotten to see a lot of different places where I feel like a lot of times I'm just trying to fit in, and I look pretty different too. The blonde frosted tips.
You're just Bollywood Justin Timberlake.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna use that on stage. Actually,
go ahead.
Hey, I know I look like the Bollywood Justin Timberlake.
The frosted tips and you're just missing your Britney.
Yeah. So I'm just missing hot pop star. So, who's the number one hottest pop star out there? Who's the
Billie Eilish?
Yeah, so Billie Eilish, if you're looking for a man,
right here.
I don't know, something like that.
We can wear denim together.
Yeah. I'll wear denim with you, girl. No, that's funny.
Shit. But yeah, so basically it's just the difference is comedy. You want to be boom funny, whereas in sketch writing you want to prolong the joke. Is it more like when you're making a sketch? How long is like your format? Do you want to make it like 3 minutes, 5 minutes? Like,
yeah.
What is your average range?
Good question. What I've found my average range for Ranjib the Magnificent to be around 2.5 minutes to about 7 minutes.
2.5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah,
okay.
we're open to doing longer stuff, but I think we need to build up to that. And simultaneously, I have story maps and some scripts of what this looks like in an episodic format. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I have thoughts about how this progresses, right? What does this look like if it gets its start on YouTube as a sketch and then morphs into something larger? Because ultimately where I wanted to go with it was TV. But again, just in seeing how media consumption is changing, also versus knowing kind of the battles that you're going to have to fight in dealing with the traditional Hollywood.
They want things their way.
Yeah.
It's like they have a vision for your project for you.
Right, exactly. And you know, and I saw it time and time again. Like it's a moneymaker, right? And seeing it from the inside, I kind of realized then too, like I can find ways to make money. That's cool.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna do this, and it's why I got into comedy, kind of to come full circle, because I do have all these experiences that are unique and different.
Yeah.
And
that's what we love.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that.
Yeah, and sure, some of them are, and I get this is another thing that's interesting is. Some people come up to me after my sets, and because they are about me growing up in the South and some of the racial stuff that I had to deal with, and it's always one demographic. And I'll let you guess what demographic.
White women?
Yeah.
White women?
Always come up to me after my sets on this, and they're like, I'm sorry. I don't think it's funny. I just feel bad for you. It makes me feel bad for you.
What?
I'm like,
what?
I'm like, hold on. Let me.
That is like, you do not
process that for a second.
That's pretty racist.
It's condescendingly racist.
Yes, because I'll say this because like I was dating this one white girl who was very, very like BLM, feminist, all this stuff. You know what I mean? You know. And she was like in the BLM movement. She was in like it was a white girl, right? She was like and all this stuff. And she was like, one of her, I was dating her long enough to like go out to like family dinners with her and go out to like video Skype family while we're at the dinner. And one of her family members who's in Ohio said like, oh, you know, ¿cómo está? Because he knows I'm Mexican. Oh, ¿cómo estás? And I'm like, oh, ¿cómo estás? I was just talking Spanish to him, and she like hung up, and she was like, wow, that's super racist. I was like, he's trying to connect with me. You know, he knows I'm a certain way, and, you know, he wants to talk. Like, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, that's like hers. That's like a high key, like, he's trying to connect with me in a certain way. You know, he knows I'm Mexican. He's like, oh, you speak Spanish? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, Blaize, fuego. And I was like, yeah, fuego. But it's like, I mean, it's like, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm trying to have fun with him. And I understand, like, when I was growing up, like, I've always worked with immigrants. When I was here in California, I worked mainly Mexican immigrants. When I was in Hawaii, I was mainly working with a lot of Chinese, Japanese, and also Filipinos. We call them Micronesians out there.
right.
The micros out there.
Yeah.
So like, there's just like I mix, and there's a huge melting pot, and you always just make fun of like where everyone's from, and like
totally.
you fucking micro or you fucking like the Jap or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like like in Hawaii, they don't. You know, Japanese is like, hey man, just don't come over here and bomb my ass.
Right. Well, you make fun of it all the time.
Yeah.
Even growing up, within the culture itself, there's things that you say to each other.
Mm-hmm. But you know each other.
Yeah, but you know each other. Like what? So there used to be a term for. There actually is a great movie from the 90s. A lot of older Indian kids my age will remember it, but it's called American Desi. American Desi, and it's about
good title.
Yeah, it's about there's a ton of Indian kids. Because a lot of and India has a population crisis, right? India had 300 million people as a country when the British left in 1950. Today they have 1.4 billion people. Like,
I mean, I've never been to India, but I've seen like videos of it. I mean, this may be racist, but I've seen Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, Slumdog is actually a well thought out movie.
I've heard it. I heard like it got huge praise in the Indian community.
It did.
Yeah.
I think he really Danny, what's his name?
The actor?
No, the director. I think he really encompassed he really encompassed kind of that street life in India mentality, which was really, really interesting to see, and then the dichotomy of that. But dude, the one thing that's the craziest over there is traffic.
I've seen videos. That's one of the things I love is because of how horrible traffic is. I see videos about like how roads are made and how like traffic is, and I'm like, and they always talk about India and like how crazy it is, and like how a lot of roads don't really have like signals or like signs out there, and people just you just like.
Oh, it's crazy. You will on a 6-lane road in India, you will see 12 lanes of traffic, each in a different vehicle. Like one guy is in a car, one guy is in a tuk-tuk, one guy's on a rickshaw, one guy is like got a fucking like 4 oxen pulling a fucking cart full of like dung or something.
That's funny. That's crazy. That's amazing.
One is a bus. That's
another one's like a Nissan. Like a Nissan Altima.
And then you got like children walking next to like. You know,
goats and
there's like goats, and they're all going in a different direction, just like weaving in and out.
I've seen that. That shit's like it's kind of like it's like just I don't know. Honestly, it reminds me of like ants when you see pictures of like videos of ants like going through the colonies.
Yeah,
it kind of just looks like that. It just has its own beautiful symmetry, and it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah. Dude, that's why Indians are used to being late all the time. They're like that's why Indians. My parents growing up used to run so late to parties, like 2.5, 3 hours late to white people parties.
White people parties.
Yeah, to white people parties.
You know, everyone's showing up on time.
I know, but then they would do it to all of our Indian friends' parties, and the rest of them are doing it too. So they would just tell people show up at 8, and everybody kind of knew that was code to show up at 10, and it's like, why don't you guys just say show up at fucking 10 then? Why even say, no, it's too late. Dude, you guys are going to stay up till 3 in the morning listening to Bollywood songs. So just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what I will say this? I feel like the new hipster thing, especially with a lot of my white friends that are like really, really hipster, is like listening to Bollywood music.
Yeah.
It's super hipster now.
Yeah.
Bollywood is super hipster now. Not that it's bad about it, it's super hipster.
I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're like, it's my time to shine.
Yes,
it's Bollywood, Justin Timberlake's time to shine.
I'm like, India is cool? Okay. I can go back to my Indian accent.
You're just like, I work for Google.
Yeah, right.
I
am software architect. Okay. That's a true story. That actually.
You can just say, like, you work for Google and just lie. People don't know the difference.
You know, and it's funny because now Indian kids come over from India. They come over as older, like they've grown up in India, especially in LA. You see this, they like went to USC or something like that, and they still have a little bit of an accent.
Yeah.
Right. And I just wonder. I need to ask one of them next time I see one. I don't think I know any that are comics that I see regularly enough that I do my fake Indian accent in front of. But I wonder what they think about that. I wonder if they're like, well, after you hear me talk and then you hear me do it.
I mean, technically it's not fake. It's technically...
That's, okay.
It's like saying, Mexican having a fake Mexican accent.
Right,
it's like...
That's fair.
It's like, how's it fake? You're that. It's like, it's not like you're Indian facing.
Yeah, that's fair. And... Here, let me tell you another good white girl story. About
I was just shit on them.
I know. I'm sorry, white girls. I'm never gonna get a white girl to date me again after this podcast.
No, there's a lot of self-hating white women. Trust me.
True. That's true.
There's a lot of self-hating white women.
That is true. So this was back in 2012, and I was at a company out of Westlake Village.
Okay, it's a nice area.
Yeah, nice area. Super white. I mean.
People forget how southern California is.
Yeah. Like super white. So I used to smoke cigarettes at the time, and so, you know, and if you're at any professional job, the smoking area is its own. If you're a smoker, the smoking area is its own socialization pit.
Yes.
Because you see the same. It's kind of like a bar. You see the same people. Because unless you're a smoker, you're not going out to the smoking area.
Yeah.
Right. You see the same people. And you talk. You
say, hey, what's up?
Yeah, hey, what's up? Or hey, how's it going? And then you chit chat.
You're just like, oh, my wife, my kids.
Right. Yeah. Just so I'm at the smokers section. A bunch of us around. This white girl, blonde ass white girl, comes up to me and she goes, "Abe, you're from India, right? Like, how come you don't have an Indian accent?" And I'm like,
you know what?
I look at her, and this is, honest to God, this is what I said. I go, you know what, Jessica? Have you ever thought that maybe I have a California accent? Because I've heard that, too. Like, people are surprised to hear that I grew up in Atlanta because I speak very California to them.
Fair enough. I could say because I think it's just because a lot of Indians are, like, there's so many different folks of type of, like, there's a lot of, not one type of Indian.
Yeah.
But there's like, they're from all over. There's a lot of people from, you know, there's a lot of Indians from like Kansas.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. There's a lot, because I know there's a lot of people from a lot of posts and they all have different accents, but yours is more like TV friendly.
Yeah, you're right. And I love it. I love it when I see minorities with like Southern accents or like Midwestern accents and stuff like that. You know, because that's another thing I like to do is accents. So. And a lot of practice with the Southern accent. But I tell her, I was like, so have you ever thought that I have a California accent, right? Or a neutral accent, or an American, I think I said an American accent. And she goes, no, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. No. And I'm like, what? Whoa. I'm like, and, you know, and I've dealt a lot with this growing up where you're not going to change everybody's viewpoint all the time. People are going to come in with their views, and this is all just me coming back to saying this is why I wanted to get into comedy, because I found this was the best way to change people's views. And growing up, I was a bit of a class clown, or I would just be friendly with people and interact with people and chat with them. But I found that the more I talked to them and the more they kind of realized, they stopped looking at me as an Indian guy, and they're like, oh no, he's just a dude, right? Oh, he's a dude on the baseball team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is Indian, you know, but he's a dude. Like I was on the wrestling team.
Nice.
Growing in high school.
Nice. I did wrestling too.
Yeah, I saw you. I was gonna ask you. What school is that?
Diamond Bar High School.
Diamond Bar. Okay.
Yeah, way out there, 57 and 60. There's a car crash there every day. Don't believe me? Watch the news.
So California actually has an interesting. State, like a very competitive state.
Wrestling
tournament.
Yeah, real good.
California's one. Georgia's not a bad state, but California was one of the states that has.
Iowa,
yep.
Texas, California. Those are like the top 3 wrestling schools.
Yeah.
Iowa's like number 1.
Yeah, well, Iowa State.
Yeah.
The 2 biggest college wrestling programs. On the planet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Those. I remember I wasn't really too much into like the wrestling scene. I only did it because it was like filled in space between football season. And
a lot of people did that.
Yeah, and I also got in fights on the wrestling team with the wrestling team because I was a very rambunctious boy. So one day, I'll give you, here's a good scene, here's a good chance. I don't think I told this short story before on the podcast, which is great. one of my favorite high school stories. So it was one day after practice, and you know how everyone after practice checks the weight, right?
Yeah, of course.
But we have to clean up, so we have to roll the mats up. So
Yeah,
rolling the mats,
You gotta
rolling the mats
mop
up,
the mats.
mop the mats. You roll.
Otherwise, you're gonna get a ring.
Yeah, we mop them and then you dry them right after.
Yeah, yep.
So that's what we do. So we had one boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom. So it was like like a team. You know what I mean? Boom, boom,
exactly.
right away. So because there's a good amount of us, and then but there was a whole bunch. It was taking forever, and the coach was like, "What's taking so long?" And there's a huge line for the weights, to weigh yourself. And it's like, where are the captains? Why aren't the captains doing anything? At this time, it was junior year, and like all the captains are juniors because there was no good seniors that year. Yeah. It was really bad. They were really bad. That's just how it is. But so it's basically just the junior round league team on my year, and I yell out, "I was like, Coach, because there ain't no captains." All you hear is everyone butt cheeks go. You know what I mean? When you hear a whole bunch of like little high school boys butt cheeks, and they're like, "Ooh," and they all look at me, right? And then it was like...
they probably
and then one of the captains came over and was like, "You can't be saying that." I was like, "Well, then do something. Fucking do something. You're not a captain." And I was just all up in the face. I loved it.
I'm surprised you didn't get, like, hazed for that.
Nah. Oh, and I was one of the strongest guys on the team. Like, there's only one other guy who was strong enough to beat me. And because I was one of the football guys, I had the football guys to help me out. Yeah. So it's kind of like there was... like a group, like there's the group of wrestlers, and then there's the football guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the football guys, like the team grew like by half when the football guys came. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was the one in charge of the football guys, so I was like, nah, this ain't happening on my watch. And then I also got in trouble because my mom would bring me at meets. My mom would bring me food before the meets, right? Because you usually start like after, like right before like 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so she'd bring me fried chicken. And so what I'd do is because I was wrestling 180, weighing like 170. Right. So I was giving
and everybody who's cutting weight probably hated your guts.
So I would sit right in front of the weights, right, eating the fried chicken right in front of the weigh-in. As looking at the opposite team, especially if it was a home match, I would sit right there in front of it and I'll just be eating the fried chicken. Eating the fried chicken, man, just like the whole smell. I would do shit. I would ask my mom, like, bring me fried chicken, bring me something that smells good.
Right.
You know what I mean? That thing when you bring it in is like, everyone looks back.
That's a good troll. That's a good
show. If you want to troll. Fun fact: if you're underweight and you're in wrestling, you could do it, but some people they don't have the gut strength to do it because some people they get that they're gonna get sick. But like I had a good stomach in high school, I would do it and I would be fine. Yeah, that's the best troll in wrestling. Is fucking, especially if you know the dude's cutting weight.
I agree.
Especially if you're like, what were you in high school? You're probably what, 120?
112. Yeah.
Oh my god!
30 pounds
you were spitting.
112 or 103 or some shit like that.
103 is the worst.
Yeah, it was
it's
bad. Because I was undersized, right?
Yeah.
But I was lanky.
Yeah.
So I had an advantage on all these kids because I was like skinny and then my
they're all like 4'9".
Yeah, they're all tiny. So I would just do I would do shit like ankle picks and reinforced chicken wings and stuff like that. That they just couldn't. I had leverage on them, right? Except for, I will say, so my senior year, I cut down all this weight because I would have like placed at the weight class above at state, but I was it 3 or 12? I don't know. Whatever weight class it was, I could have won state in that weight class. Right?
Yeah, but it's hard, man. It's hard.
Dude. So at state, get to the semis, and wrestle. Lose to this kid who ended up and I was so mad. He was a freshman.
That's the worst.
He ended up being a 4-time high school state champion and a 3-time NCAA wrestling champion.
Do you remember his name?
I do, yeah.
What's his name? You want to say it? You cross your trees.
You know what? It's a common enough, and I'll tell you another story about this. It's a common enough name. His name was Tyler Parker. Right?
So white, but that's hilarious.
But okay, then the reason why I say that name is because then I had a buddy in college when I was in the fraternity. This way, sorry.
Yeah, you gotta stay on the bolt, because otherwise you get too close to the edge.
I see. Okay, So, I was in a fraternity too.
Yeah,
right?
I was Kappa Sig. You were Pike.
Yeah, I was a Pike, and which is it's fucked up because they had a policy of whites only till 1960, which means they wouldn't have let me in before that.
Yeah.
But the dudes were cool there, you know. Like I was just trying to party and fuck sorority girls, right?
I feel that.
So,
especially in Georgia.
Yeah, especially in Georgia, but. In my fraternity, there was this one kid. He was younger than me, and it was like almost like when I was a senior, he was a freshman, and his name was also Tyler Parker, right? And I forgot about this other kid, Tyler Parker. Except we're friends on Facebook.
The one that beat you, or the one?
The one that beat me.
Okay.
Well, me and the other one were friends on Facebook too, because he was. Well, this is when he was pledging, right?
Okay, yeah.
And just to troll him, just because this is the early days of Facebook, so we used to do stupid shit like this.
Yeah.
I created a Facebook group called. Because I used to joke around with the other Tyler Parker. I'd be like, dude, you are the ugliest kid I've ever seen in my life. Like, you were so fucking ugly. Like, and we would just used to do that. Then I created a Facebook group that said, Tyler Parker is the ugliest human alive. Right? Invited everybody I knew. And I forgot that the other Tyler Parker was in my friends list. And there's a message on the Facebook group, literally, it's me and the Tyler Parker that I'm trolling.
Yeah.
And then the other Tyler Parker pops up. He's like, wait, what is this group about? And sorry, dude.
Wrong dude.
Yeah, sorry, dude. You just
Wrong Tyler Parker.
You happen to have the same name, so... Apologies to both of you Tyler Parkers out there. Y'all know who you are if you ever see this.
Especially the 4-time state championship, 3 in time.
Yeah, dude.
He went to Iowa.
He went to Stanford.
Oh,
on a full ride, yeah.
I mean, Stanford's also a good program.
Yeah. So not only was he fucking a better wrestler than me, he's
smarter.
Yeah. Like, all right, dude.
He's like, you know what? He's like, his dick's bigger than you too. Like, shit, I can't win.
Probably. All right, dude. Maybe that's the one thing that I have. Maybe my dick is bigger than his. That's
You know what?
Well, so that's a good question. Would you take that? Would you take
bigger dick or better athleticism?
Yeah, or more I want to say smart. So that shows how not. More intelligence. How not intelligent that was. But.
So apparently he has a big dick is what he's saying. So
we
know your decision.
which one would you choose, though?
Damn. But you know what? The small dick is a great motivator for a lot of folks.
That's true.
Some folks, they're so motivated by their small dick.
They become great athletes.
Or great.
Super smart.
Yeah, super smart.
Yeah.
I'll take the dick.
Yeah. I think 9 out of 10 guys would probably... Well, no. 9 out of 10 heterosexual men. I mean, there's some gay guys who would probably be like, no, I don't like fucking anyway, so I'll take more intelligence. Does that come with a better wardrobe? It's more wardrobe and
wardrobe. Yeah. No, you got the same wardrobe, bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting question because I feel like 9 out of 10
males,
straight males, would you think males? You think even?
Yeah.
I think some gay men would be like, yeah, I'll take the bigger dick, but I think others would probably be like, yeah, it's okay.
Every man go out as a dick measuring contest. In the sense of whether it's literal dicks or like supremacy or mental, whether it's even cash, you know what I mean? Or like women, like type of women or amount of women that you slept with. I mean, there's always these quote unquote dick measuring contests that men always partake in. You know what I mean?
Well, that is true. Have you ever literally measured your dick?
Not a long time. Not since like high school.
Not since high school?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you happy with your measurement?
I was like, that's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't imagine if you measured and you're like, oh fuck, I thought it was bigger. Because I feel like whenever I feel like you have your own, and we're getting way too into dick, so maybe we should.
So good.
But I feel like you have your own image of what you think you look like. Whether it's some people have
good or bad.
Yeah, good or bad. Some people are way too overconfident. Other people are way too underconfident. Yeah. And there's a whole spectrum in between, right? So
I mean, some people they're like, oh, I love my body, but I hate this one thing about myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So it's everything is different for everyone. Like some people, like they see me and they see I have this luscious facial hair, and they're like, "Damn, I wish my hair wasn't like it was like that."
Do you ever get any jealousy from balding male comics?
It's always like, "Oh, look at this guy with his hair bun." I was like, "It's always." You know what? It's always the bald dudes who always say shit about the hair bun.
I know.
And girls don't always say. Girls don't say.
Women will be like, "Oh, nice hair."
Yeah.
They'll give you compliments.
Yeah, that's like, "Oh, nice."
Yeah.
Even if you have a sloppy hair bun, they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Because they know there's things about it. But like, only bald men talk about hair.
Bro, it's jealousy. Of course, it's jealousy.
It's jealousy. It is jealousy.
And I hope if any of them are watching, I hope they realize that. Like, yo, we know what that is. It's just we don't want to make you feel worse.
About having it flowing out.
Yeah, right, about that. So we just kind of ignore it and be like, okay, or whatever. We can say shit back, guys.
Yeah, it's like, besides the fact that you look like a penis. Besides
the fact you look like a penis.
They look like, some of them, especially, they have the rolls. They look like an uncircumcised penis. Right. It's like, they have like fucking like the head rolls. You know what I mean? The fucking, they have the skull rolls. Oh, you're so fat, you got skull rolls. Motherfucker, I swear.
The skull rolls. Dude, have you ever shaved your head?
The most I went to was a buzz cut.
Okay.
And I've done that twice. Once was before my sister's wedding, because I didn't like the way that my mom cut my hair, so I cut it again. Okay. She got mad, so she made me cut it a third time that day.
Damn, yeah, that's some drama. That day.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. My mom fucking threw me in the back. She threw me in the back of the car. She grabbed me by the back of the shirt, get the fuck in the car, and this woman is like literally like 1/4 my size. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's like, she grabs me, and I'm fucking like 12, 13. I'm like 13 at the time. She grabs me by the back of the head, just like.
But she did it in a way where you knew she was serious.
Yeah. She was like,
"Oh, yeah, you're not playing."
But yes, that time, and the second time was the first time I donated. So this is I donate my hair. So this is gonna be. I haven't cut my hair in 7 years. Come February.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So I grow it out. I'm trying to grow it out so it's about like right here. It's about my weight halfway. So that way when I cut it, it's still about shoulder length because it's gonna be about 10 or 12 inches depending on where you.
Okay.
So I'm doing the wigs for kids this time.
How far is it down to now?
And now I gotta it's about bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's there, but the thing is, my hair's so thin that it takes a lot. It takes a lot to grow. So it's just it's right here at the bottom. It's just a lot of split ends. I just gotta get one. So it gets if I were to put it as you can see, the mid back.
Mid back. Okay. Yeah. And you said you want it down probably
right here, more close to belly button, kind of like Samoan style.
How long do you think that'll take you to get to?
Probably another 3 years.
Okay, cool. Man, I can't. That's commendable because that's commitment, dude. That's awesome.
Well, the main reason I started it my freshman year of high school. Because that was because my sister got married my freshman year. Yeah, freshman year of high school because that's when I buzz cut it. It was right before football season. She got married right before football season because I had my freshman year. I had the buzz cut, and then I started growing it. And I don't have any tattoos, so instead of having tattoos, I grow my hair out to donate it because my mom had breast cancer when I was a child.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of my way of represent my mom, represent her still being here. Instead of getting a tattoo, that's just it's simple because ink won't touch the skin because I don't like needles. Yeah. Being honest, I'm one of those folks who likes pain. So it's like that. No hot wax for me, baby. No hot wax. But yeah, so that's why I have the hair long.
Okay, cool.
I mean, you have a pretty good size.
Yeah, I do. Mine's just cosmetic, man. I'm not doing anything noble with it. I buzzed my hair twice, too. Once was in high school, right before the state tournament. And I should have realized then never to do it again. Because, and this is when I'm cutting weight at the state tournament. I literally looked like Gandhi in a suit. It was bad. But I didn't buzz cut it all the way. So it was... I looked like a little skinny Indian kid with a buzz cut. All my state video, I don't know where that tape went of me wrestling the state tournament. Second time I did it, it was, of all days, it was April 1st, 2003. And we were pledging in the fraternity. I lived with one of my pledge brothers. We lived in the same dorm. And one night, like, I got back from maybe playing intramurals or playing pickup sports on campus or something like that, right? And this motherfucker had been drinking Old English all night.
Your roommate?
Yeah. Buzzed his head and dyed it blonde.
Oh, one of those?
Yeah, and the big thing then, and they'd always told us when they were pledging, they were like, look, it's customary throughout the course of the pledgeship that one of you shaves your head, and it's customary the rest of you do it, too, in a show of solidarity. That happens.
Solidarity.
Yeah, that happens every year. That's a tradition.
That's
right?
stupid.
There's actually only one kid who got away with not doing that, and he actually was at that time he was an Abercrombie model, so it would have been it would have cost him money.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, yeah, we can't really do that. This is 2004, right?
Yeah. You need the money.
He's
a college student. He needs money. Yeah. But honestly, yeah.
For me, I was an Abercrombie model, so because he dyed it blonde, I didn't want to dye my blonde at that time. So I go, okay, I'll go one step further, and I'll take a Bic razor to it. So I completely Bic'd it, right? And bro, when I tell you I look like Gandhi,
yeah,
and so then the next morning, that was the night before. The next morning, April 1st, I'm going to class, and at the time at Georgia, I went to Georgia State University. At the time there, they used to our housing used to be off campus, or not really off campus, but the dorms were a different place than where the classroom buildings were that you needed to go to. So what they used to do is they used to give us a train pass. It's called MARTA in Atlanta.
MARTA, okay.
So, and what you would have to do is go to your RA and get the train pass at the beginning of the month. I
get it because nowadays they have it synced up to your card, but before then I get it because it's like,
yeah, they didn't have that wherewithal.
Technology.
Yeah, wherewithal at that point to do that, and so, but whatever. You just but okay. So I'd forgotten to go get my card on April 1st. But what you always did, and people do it at the train stations here, is you just reach around the handicap thing.
Yeah.
Open it, walk around.
Yeah.
Nobody says a goddamn thing,
yeah.
right? So I do it one day, and just going to class, and head completely shaved. Bald.
Shiny.
Nothing.
Shiny.
Yeah, shiny, nothing. And so then, as I'm walking through, trying to go down the stairs, this guy wearing plain clothes, he's like leaning over the ledge. He goes, "Hey, bro, let me see your MARTA card." And I was like, okay.
Wait, it was a cop or just a random?
Yeah. He goes, I go, what? Then he whips out a badge, like he's some sort of hard ass. He goes, yeah, I'm an undercover MARTA police. Let me see your MARTA card. I go, okay. So I pull out my wallet, and I literally have fucking September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Oh shit, officer, I forgot to go to, I live in the village over there. They give us a free MARTA card. Here are my keys. Here's my key card as a student. I just forgot to go get it from the RA. He goes, nope, too late. Put your hands behind your back.
You got caught up? Bro, it's a fine. Is that, what the fuck?
So I go, I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, then the whole time he's talking to his buddy, he's like, I got a feeling about this one. So I'm sitting there. I'm 19 years old. Never been arrested before. The first time I ever got arrested. So I ask him, and I'm just trying to get to class, bro. Like, bald ass head. And I ask him, I'm like, so what's gonna happen, officer? You know, even though he's not really a fucking cop, but he goes, the way that I'm feeling, I'm taking you down to downtown ATL pretrial lockup. And I'm like, what? So then they took me to the downtown ATL, and they threw me in the general population of like, so now, here I am, on April Fool's Day, of all days, shaved ass head, in downtown Fulton County lockup, and like, And so on the way down there, I'm kind of like freaking out, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? I don't want to call my parents and tell them, my Indian ass parents. They're gonna fucking
freak
the fuck out.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
I'm like, I need to be smarter than that. I can't deal with the backlash on this. So I'm like, okay. And as I was going down there, he turned it over to some other cops, and I was they're like, why are you in here? I was telling them the story, and they're like, dude, that's fucking bad luck.
Bullshit.
Yeah, they were even like, dude, that's fucking bad. But they were just a transport, right? So I'd already been arrested and booked.
For nothing.
For nothing.
Literally a tick, like a fine.
Yeah.
What is it? What was it, like $100, $150 ticket?
Something like that, dude. It wasn't even that much, right? It was like $130 or some shit like that. But so then I go down there, and as I'm going down there, they tell me, I try to find out what my options are, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to call my parents. I don't have the money to bail myself out.
Of course.
I don't want to, like, bond myself out. That's just dumb, right? So I'm like, okay. So they're telling me, okay, do you have a criminal record? I go, no, dude, clean as a whistle. They go, okay, you can do this thing. Since this is a very minor offense, you sign this piece of paper. It's called a pretrial agreement. But you basically sign a piece of paper that says you're going to come to court.
Yeah.
And
I had signed it before.
Yeah, so they enter me into a pretrial agreement, but not before. So they're super backed up in downtown Atlanta, and the guards are being dicks to everybody.
Because they that's just what they are.
Yeah, that's just what they are. They're just being assholes. And so, and I'm sitting there looking at the clock. They get me down there. This is an 8 a.m. class. They get me down there like 9, and it's like 6 or 7 p.m. I'm still down there. Or it's probably like 4 or 5 p.m. I'm still down there. And I'm like, shit, this place is going to close, and they're not going to let anybody out.
Yeah.
At one point, somebody started smoking a cigarette in the general room, so they put us all in holding cells. But not before. I was like, okay, shit, I got to figure out what's going on. So I walk up to one of the ladies who's being a bitch to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I walk up to her, and I'm like, hey, ma'am, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, I've never been in this process before. I'm supposed to have a pretrial agreement. Can you let me know what my status is?
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at my fucking bald ass, Gandhi-looking ass, and she just, in front of everybody, super loudly starts cooing me. Like, oh, you too young to be in here. Why are you in here? Oh, just sit right down, honey. We'll take care of you. In front of everybody.
Your booty hole got red lighted.
Oh my god, in front of everybody. Yeah, so then I go and sit back down, and I'm just like kind of looking down, and I just see all these fucking glare. I don't even feel them on me. So I'm just sitting there. And then somebody starts smoking a cigarette, and they lock us up in the holding cells. And so then I'm, and it's a bunch of holding cells outside. So I'm in the holding cell with like 20 other people. And one of them's like, yeah, man, that lady a bitch, man. I go up there trying to ask this shit, and she fucking curses at me. But this motherfucker goes up there, and I'm just like sitting in the fucking cell, like, please get me out of here, please. Like maybe like 10 minutes later, they get me out, and I'm like, I still feel all those eyes, but I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
You're like, I gotta take a shower.
Yeah.
So you had to pay $130 fine and live the experience.
Something
from
like
bullshit.
That. Yeah.
Some bullshit. They ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
Dude wanted
and
a power.
On April's Fool's Day of all days.
This dude really was having a power trip.
I was really, I think this was before Punk'd, before Punk'd came out, but I was really expecting, like, cameras to come out and be like, hey, we got you, April Fools, and I was like, oh, you guys got me, oh, that's a good one. But no.
10 hours later.
10 hours later. Dude, that was the first time I got arrested.
That's definitely, that was definitely racism. That was racism.
I was a black dude.
But you're an Indian dude.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, this is after 2011.
Yeah.
Or, 9/11, excuse me.
I like to think that I look like enough of a penis that he was just like, dude, I gotta... It like, made the dick in him come out, right? So he's like, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I just find it's interesting. Like, yeah, we all experience racism in different ways. I've had it during Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Well, it was in Newport.
Okay.
So it was last year in Newport, and Thanksgiving we went out there, family, and it was like 6:00. We got there at like 5:00, and we were just walking around, and we walked into this little thrift shop, and this old lady had to be 70 or 80, like stuck in a chair, like fucking 100 and nothing pounds.
Yeah.
Pink bedazzled Trump hat.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, bedazzled, motherfucker, bedazzled. She's like, "Oh, where y'all from? Where y'all from?" She's wearing sunglasses. You can't really see her eyes. I'm like, "Oh, we're from Diamond Bar. I keep repeating it. She's like, "What? Where? Y'all from over the border?" My mom's like, "What?" My mom just goes, "Huh?" And she just says like, "I don't even know what to say." I just laughed, and so it was like, "Okay," and we just like literally just turned around and walked the fuck out. It was like. Yeah, this is where it needed to be. But stuff like that. I mean, even being like a light-skinned Mexican. I mean, do you speak much Hindi?
Yeah, Hindi. I'm fluent.
Fluent, yeah. So like,
because I was 7 when I moved, so
yeah.
I knew Hindi well.
Were you taught English when you were over there in India?
Yeah, I went to a school in India, which was a Jesuit school.
Okay.
So we were only allowed to speak in Hindi and Hindi class. You had to speak English the rest of the time. So
that's what happened in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's what happened in Hawaii. Same thing is that's why the Hawaiian language died, is because there was a law there that you couldn't speak Hawaiian, and it was punishable by law. By law, it was not death. I was gonna say it was punishable by law.
Damn, that's insane.
But yeah, and now they have it written in law. Like everything that they write in law, every all their like minutes that they do in chambers, like in the House and the Senate for Hawaii, have to also be written in Hawaiian. Hawaiian is the official second language of Hawaii.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's steps to bring Hawaiian back, but it's not that. It's not. It's gonna be a long If anything, it's gonna be like a 50-year project. Like even now is like 50 years from now. Like even then, it's gonna be a struggle. Like there's not gonna be many. I mean, a lot of locals don't speak Pidgin because it's like it's a local term, so it's kind of like, oh, you don't speak it because it's like uneducated. But like it's kind of like it's uneducated, but it's also the term of the people. Like it's the language of the folk. Mm-hmm. It means the language of the land. And I feel like as a Hispanic, Mexican man, we lost our language. I mean, like no one knows like the original Mexican language. Right. You probably never heard of it. Same. Right. So like it's one of those things like if you really want to be real Mexican, because a lot of here in LA you hear these, oh, you're not really Mexican if you don't speak Spanish. You know what I mean?
Bro, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because people think I'm Latino. I get that all the time, like where people think I'm Latino, and I should be able to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Two stories for you on that
one.
Go
ahead.
One was I play soccer, right?
Yeah.
And I'm playing soccer.
Soccer and baseball, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm playing soccer at the park, and it's the middle of the day, so it's a bunch of dudes just playing soccer.
Hanging out.
Probably people who are about to go pick up the 4 p.m. shift at the restaurant, whatever. Just in general, that's probably who's hanging out at 11 a.m. playing soccer, right?
Yeah.
So we start to get a little audience, and one of the guys there, guy that pushes a little ice cream.
Oh, one of those guys?
He comes up to me and starts speaking Spanish. And I tell him, oh, lo siento, no hablo español. He fucking goes off on me. He goes, this is a problem with the younger generation.
He speaks in English.
They don't know their culture. Yeah.
In English.
They don't know their heritage. They don't know the language. And I'm sitting there listening to him, and I'm like, bro, goddamn, he's kind of right. Like, I should know my culture and heritage way better than I do. It's not that one.
Yeah.
But I should, right? But yeah. I have to tell him, oh, no, soy indiano. He's like, oh, you look like you're from Oaxaca or some shit like that.
Oaxaca.
The second one that I have is, so, yeah, on the back of that, I started deciding, I'm like, dude, at least I should be able to go to the taco stand and order tacos, right? It's a basic thing. I've lived in LA since 2011 because I noticed when I go and I order tacos in English, they always respond to me in Spanish. So, tres al pastor, algo más. Or let me get three El Paso. Algo más. A can of Coke. Algo más. Right. So I had to figure out that. I had to remind myself.
Anything else?
Yeah, it means anything else. So then I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna start learning enough Spanish that I can just order in Spanish. So I started doing it. I was like, que tres el pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I do that, they respond to me in English. Now that I'm speaking shitty Spanish to them, they're like, anything else? Anything else?
Because they like to fuck with you. That's their way of fucking with you. They do that all the time.
I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can understand that. People are so crazy, especially for the Mexican Spanish stuff. Like
Self-segregation.
yeah.
I feel like it was just fascinating to me is like how Mexicans will self-segregate, and like I think it comes back to like how the Spanish treated us, because like even in Mexican culture still like a lot of whiter folks get more opportunities than darker skinned folks in Mexico and Southern America. Even in our own culture it comes like that. There was a famous painting that came out like in the early 1900s where it was there's a picture of this Mexican woman, but she's holding a light-skinned baby, and right next to her is her Mexican grandmother or mother, and she's praising and she's happy because she knows this child is going to have a better future. I mean, Pico even, the first governor of California, he wasn't, when he was originally, like his ancestry, they originally were not Spanish. They were like Mexican, but then they raised up to Spanish, because the difference is in like the Spanish allowed you to like rise up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can be Spanish,
right.
Whereas like the white folks is the difference. When in West is like there's a divide, or like they made it. They fucked it. The Spanish were more smarter than the white folks, because what the Spanish did, even though the Spanish are white, no one talks about how fucked up the Spanish are, man. No one talks about how much the Spanish fucked us up. They only talk about how like the north motherfuckers. Like, don't talk about the Spanish. Yeah. So like as a Mexican, I like, this is my hill to die on Spanish. And like how the church, they made us self-segregate us ourselves because we're gonna be saved. We're gonna be, you gotta be part of the church. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, you gotta speak Spanish. You gotta be part of us. You gotta assimilate. So they made us self-hate our own culture, which is even more detrimental than anything else. Is like, I understand what the whole slavery and like being taken from your roots, but like having your roots being taken from you in your own homeland is a lot different. And I feel like everyone has their own hill to die on. They have their hill, I have my hill. It's just, I mean, even the British are the most crazy motherfuckers out there. I mean, they even got Hong Kong for like.
Oh, I know the British. The sun never sets there, right?
Yeah, well, it does now.
Yeah, it does now. You know what's great is that their prime minister is now an Indian guy, second generation Indian guy, and I'm just waiting for there to be a baby in the royal family with some Indian heritage.
Meghan Markle is close.
She is close, but I'm like waiting for like Prince fucking. Which one is the one that's not? Are both of them married now?
Both of them are married.
Oh, are they?
The first one married Kate Middleton.
That's right.
The second one was Meghan Markle.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think those are the only two, right?
Yeah, those are the only two. But I'm waiting for somebody in that family to bring home like.
Well, it can't be Henry's kid, because Henry's already excommunicated from the family, so it has to be the first one. What's the first one's name again?
William.
William has to be the first one to. His kid has to marry an Indian person. I think he has like. His kid's got to be close to being 18 now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Because they were, yeah, they got married in like what? 2006, something like
somewhere that. Around there.
Yeah.
And they had their first kid around 20. No, the kid's got to be around like 10, 11.
Okay, that's even more perfect, because that kid's gonna be the first in line of the younger generation. So if he gets an Indian,
I think it's a girl.
Okay, if she gets an Indian husband, yeah, Indian dude, right? And they produce a kid. That kid's now first in line of that next generation.
Yeah. And
that would be great if.
But there's rules. Like, because Meghan Markle wasn't a royal, so Henry had to leave the royal family and marry her.
Was Kate Middleton a royal?
She was a royal. She's like a princess of some sort or something.
Oh, is she? I thought she was just like a model or something.
No, she was a princess. I mean, she's cute, but she's not model cute. I mean, she's like more girl next door cute.
I thought I always had a thing for her.
I can see why. She's fine, but she's like more like middle class family fine. She's like MILF fine. She's not like she's not like model fine. Like Meghan Markle, like she's model fine. You know what I mean, like she's like, you know.
Yeah, that Meghan Markle is bad,
I mean,
bro, I would leave the British royal family for Meghan Markle to see
would you leave the Indian royal family? Well, I mean, she's from like South America, isn't she? Or South Africa? Or where's she from?
I think she actually does have a little bit of Indian in her.
I don't know the whole...
I think she's like black, South Asian, and some sort of Latino mix, but in like a fourth white.
A fourth white? Yeah. That's where the caramel comes in. I don't really... Like, that stuff doesn't really matter to me. Like, I don't really care what... And in this, like... When I look for a partner, I don't care white, black, Asian, Desi. It's more like, do we connect?
Oh yeah, totally,
1,000,000%. I hate like there's a lot of folks out there like, oh, I want to date these type of people, I want to date that type of people. It's like, all right, cool, but like, I get there's certain things you're fine about, but like, at the end of the day, you just want to find like, well, I want to find my best friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we always want? Just like. Someone who I'd want to raise a family with.
So that's what's interesting. Well, those are two different things.
Well, a best friend is
a best friend versus somebody to raise a family with.
Can't they be mutual?
They could be.
They could intersect. Those are two things that intersect. They could.
So as I get older, this is where, and this is kind of how my parents pitch arranged marriage to me. They say that, look. When you're getting married, it's about kind of like the connection of the people to find the right people. And he goes, you have to keep in mind, we've been seeing you since before you. So we do know kind of a little bit how you are. And that's what arrangement, and that's not how every family is, right? Sorry, I keep on drifting over and over. I move around way too much. Too much
you can move around, but you just keep moving around that way.
Yeah, I just have too much ADD, dude.
No, that's good. You're good. You're fine.
But yeah, so and that's how they pitch it to me is that look, there's trust in this, and raising a family, we know what's gonna be a good match for you versus what's not. And you have to trust us that we're not gonna pick somebody for you who's like some
bitch,
dumpy bitch, right? We're gonna pick somebody for you because their whole thing is when you have a family with somebody, it goes beyond maybe just companionship or love. There's a mutual trade-off that you guys have to make, right, together, of raising a family. But the culture there in India, and it's changing now too. Divorce is becoming a lot more commonplace in India than it was.
Yeah, it's finally illegal.
Right.
It's finally legal.
Right. So that's what they're. Do I agree with all of it? Not necessarily. So that's what I'm kind of. I agree. That's what I'm kind of looking for. But that goes back to my earlier point that as I get older, and I date around. And I'm like, well, do I really make the best dating choices? And if I'm given myself a lot. I mean, I'm almost 39, so I've been out in Hollywood, and a part of me is kind of like, it's not. I wouldn't.
Is there a common mistake that you make with all the women? Is it like something like? No, it's a different mistake.
The mistake I make is I tend to usually go after crazy bitches. There's one girl that I dated that was seemingly normal. I wasn't really ready to commit to her at the time, and then she moved away for professional reasons, and then got married. And
good for her.
We're still friends to this day.
Good for her.
So good for her, right? And I wasn't ready at that time in my life, in my early 30s to really do a long distance relationship, and it
that.
wasn't. But the rest of the girls I've dated for the most part are wild or married. I'm not talking to them anymore, right? Because they have husbands, they have kids, they have families, and it wasn't ever to me, there's different levels of dating, right? There's like the monogamous, like I'm only, and even if you don't talk about it with somebody, but if you're only with one person, even though you guys haven't been like, oh, are we boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah.
But, you know, that's different versus, okay, cool, yeah, we'll hook up, but yeah, we're going to go our separate ways and I can go hook up with whoever I want to, right? But I see this person a lot and we hook up on a regular basis. Well, that's dating, but so is when you're monogamous with somebody, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's just different levels to it.
Yeah.
You know, different levels of what to find. And I think for me, going back to your question, the mistake that I probably make a little too much, to tell you the truth, is I do this in general, but I chase fun. So if something's more fun, I will fully go.
Oh, that sounds like every man that I know who cheats. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Here's how you don't have that problem is you just don't get in a relationship with somebody that doesn't understand that you're out there fucking, bro.
Yeah, so. I feel that. So it's more like you just don't feel comfortable settling down. You just want to have fun.
I think right now for me it's more that I'm more focused on comedy and my career.
I feel that.
And I'm lucky, and I've been in LA for such a long time now, and done so many different things here that I feel like I'm finally at this place where all these things are gonna come together. So I'm not sure that I'm ready for that distraction yet.
Yeah, I get you, because it's not just it's a whole thing.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment, and I want to be the type of father that and my parents are still together. My dad's still around. My dad wasn't really the type of like all-American dad that would like go out and throw a football with you and like, baseball and all that
or
stuff.
cricket.
I mean, he would a little bit, but he was also busy doing his thing. He's an immigrant parent trying to make it hard. So I feel like for me, I always looked at other kids who had like dads and stuff, and I always noted dads that did kind of that stuff hands on. Those were the kids who ended up being the ones that made the baseball team, right? And ended up being the ones who not just made the baseball team. I'm talking about like ended up going on to actually play like
things
competitively.
Yeah,
just in general, not
because they have that support.
Yeah, that support in somebody to go out with. I want to have that time when I get to that point of having kids, whether boys or girls. I'm going to teach both of them to play sports.
That's cool.
Something that I enjoyed a lot and still helps me to this day get a lot of my nervous energy out, right?
I thought you were going to say get laid.
No, not really. Because when you're playing in men's leagues and
it's mainly just other men.
Yeah, exactly.
And their girlfriends.
Right?
Yeah.
And their girlfriends. So it's like, all right, and just pick up, or not pick up, but low level leagues. Like there's nobody.
24-hour fitness.
Yeah.
24-hour fitness finesse.
Yeah.
Woo! Everyone's chucking up threes. It's all threes and layups.
Yeah,
threes and layups.
Right. You're either driving to the paint.
Or you're like,
exactly.
you're going, yeah. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But we've been here.
Do you play basketball over there?
Poorly.
Yeah. Which one? The one down in Studio City or the one over here more in Van Nuys?
There's one off Mongolia. There's a park over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like LA Clippers like hooked it up or something there.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's cool.
It's alright. It's not the best run, but it's good enough for what I want. I mean, it's like I'll get a good sweat.
Yeah.
Good enough players come out there.
So, when you guys play, what is it like? So you 5-on-5?
I always try to run court. I always try to do 5-on-5 to 21, 1s and 2s. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. That's how I always try and play. Yeah. Call your own fouls. Don't be a bitch.
Yeah, don't be a little bitch.
Don't be a little bitch.
Yeah.
But We've been here for almost about 2 hours, and I'll ask a wrap-up question because this is one I always like to ask.
Sorry, bro. I was just...
No, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It's just like, I try and keep it to an hour and a half, 2 hours, so that way, because we all got other things to do.
I got to get out of here.
Yeah, but I want to finish up with one question. What is your level of success when it comes to comedy? Now, everyone has their own different level of success, and I always say people, especially the younger generation, they have this idea of success that you want to be 25 with 25 million followers and $25 million. That's not what really success is. I feel like a lot of folks aren't successful until they're like their 30s, their 40s. So
that's a great question. Mm-hmm. That's a great question because, again, I moved to LA when I was 26, thinking I wanted to be an actor. Mm-hmm. Tried it. It was alright, but I didn't really want to get involved in all of that. That was too soul killing for me.
I feel that.
Then getting into comedy and different types of comedy, and sometimes it's easy to get caught up in this thing where you're trying to hit a milestone or a benchmark or something. But one of the things that I have to remind myself, and one reason why comedy has been great for me personally, is that I'm only competing with myself at the end of the day.
That's true.
So my definition of success, one is to get better as a comic, right? To get to the point where there is a name recognition enough to where people are inviting me across the country to share my perspective on the world. Sure, that could mean a certain amount of followers or a certain amount of reach or whatever.
So like touring would be like
I think touring. There is something about name recognition. I don't know what that means in terms of followers or anything like that. But because that could come from, maybe I get a break and I end up being on a sitcom in a small recurring role that does an Indian accent, but everybody loves, and now all of us, So to me, success is if I'm able to get better. If I'm able to get my message out there, and ultimately if I'm happy with what I'm doing, you know,
that's commendable because it's hard because a lot of people you hear all these stories about these rich and successful people, but they're not happy with who they are or what they have.
Suicide's a major problem in this country, and money doesn't change that.
No. Just makes it easier.
It does make it easier, I'll tell you that. It makes it, what money does is it does give you a little bit of independence. I've always thought that, and this is why, my day job, and this is why I don't care about, like, I want to make X amount of money from this, or, because I have a day job. I can make money.
Yeah.
I've done technology for so long that people now reach out to me and ask me, hey, I really need your help. I'll pay you
X amount,
which are really good rates, right? And for me, if I take one of those jobs and I don't enjoy, like my time that I worked at, I will call this one out because I hated my time there so much, was when I was at 20th Century Fox.
Oof.
When I was at Fox. And they paid me, at that time, more than I'd ever gotten paid. Gave me a director position in technology.
Nice.
I thought it was great. In fact, this is when I left the talent agency, and the talent agency even counter-offered Fox's offer, which Fox then counter-offered the talent agency offer. And maybe I should have stayed at this said talent agency, but I don't think I think I needed to leave to get to where I wanted to in comedy.
Yeah, you needed that growth.
Yeah, I got the experience, and I don't think my long-term future was at an agency unless it's to get represented. Right?
Yeah.
But at that time, I thought that's what I really wanted. I wanted this job to go to Fox. I wanted that money. I wanted that title. I quit within 3 months.
Wow.
Of having that. I quit that job.
Because what was it that made you? Was it the people?
People especially, and then the right at the time, so when they brought me on, this was still 20th Century Fox. There was 20th Century, 21st Century. 21st Century dealt more with the news and all of that stuff. 20th was the old TV distribution and movies. They brought me on to do a project where they told me what they pitched to me was, hey, we're going to implement this technology that you know how to implement, and we're going to make $1 billion. Our goal is $1 billion more out of our So I was
That's
like,
a lot
okay,
of money.
Ambitious, but I do know how you can do this based on what we're
Yeah. He said okay, that's a lot of money. Here's how I could do it.
Right. Well, yeah, and throughout the conversations, that's so. But when I got there, and I told him, I'm like, look, we can do it, but I'm struggling a lot with the corporate culture here. Mm-hmm. People are stuck in their ways, and if we do this, a lot of people are going to be out of jobs. So, and people know that, so they hate me, and so they're putting up roadblocks. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, yeah. At first, they're like, okay, keep going, don't worry about it. And then one day, my boss's boss, the one who really recruited me over, he's like, hey, let me tell you a secret, or let me tell you something. Disney is going to buy out all of 20th Century, or buy all the catalog. And most of this division is going to be sold there. I want you to hang out for 9 months because you're part of the new division that's going to be news and networks. And you have the same mission. And in my head, I was like, hold on a second. You want me to go over to Fox News and make you guys $1 billion more within your workflows there when I think you are one of the most dangerous promoters of propaganda out there. I do not agree with the message that you have. And this is before Trump. Like, I can't stand the Tucker Carlsons of the world.
I get you. His father was even worse.
Yeah.
His father, if you know anything about his father, I forget his father's name, was last name, obviously Carlson.
I forget.
Yeah, but I've seen a video because he was just, his dad is just, if not worse than Tucker is.
Yeah.
Because Tucker's more like subliminal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He plays the game a lot better than his dad did.
Yeah.
I mean, Tucker Carlson, he's...
Yeah. So at that moment, and the reason why I wanted to always come out to LA and get into the creative space, because again, it helped me tell my story.
Yeah.
And I felt like I would be a complete sellout if I'm taking the money of this job of promoting a network who's really, quite frankly, against somebody like me succeeding.
Yeah.
That's really part of that agenda. So I was like, dude, money doesn't matter. You'll find a job.
Yeah.
You'll go out and find a job just because you're good at what you do. So when you're good, you can find something to do. So just work on getting good.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to remind myself, that I'm only competing with myself and not to chase those kinds of metrics sometimes. Because sometimes you get frustrated. You're like, oh, I wish I had more followers. Or how do I do this? Or do I need to do
I want to be booked on this venue.
Yeah, I want to be booked at this venue. I want to be booked on this show. I want that thing to say appeared on Netflix by my name. Yeah, sure, all that stuff. But all that stuff happens if you're good.
As long as you put in the work.
Yeah.
Put in the work. And
that's how you get good, is you put in the work.
I completely agree. You know, there's the old Bible testimony. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but there's an old story. Like, there's two farmers who were both brothers, both prayed for rain. One brother waited for the rain to come. The second brother prepared his crops for the rain to come. So when the rain came, which brother was prepared for the rain? The one who prepared his fields for it. The other brother's like, well, I prepare. There's nothing coming. There's nothing here yet. Prepare because you got to believe.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
prepare
that.
your fields.
Yeah, that reminds me. It's something that I say all the time, and even some of my friends back home know this is one of my favorite quotes. But good luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Yes,
that's when
that here this podcast.
Lightning will strike. And what does that? And so what does that mean? What does that good luck mean? Preparation means, for me, go out there, get good, do the work. Get there. The luck will come where, one day when you're good, somebody's gonna be the audience who is in a position to go, hey, you're hilarious.
Yes. I want to book you. I want you on my show.
I want you on my show. I
come with me on this thing.
Right, and I found that doesn't come from any sort of milestone and metric like that. So I'm sure all of the typical things that other comics would say, all of those things.
No, everyone says everything different. That's why I love to ask it, because like everyone has their own, like, a singer. What is, like, there's so many different types of singers. Not everyone's an Usher. Not everyone's a Beyonce. You know what I mean? They have people who open for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not every band's a Blink-182, but they have bands who are opening for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can be one of those people. It's not like they're making a shitty living. They're making a great living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, and there's some people. It's like, oh, like maybe you just work in the entertainment industry as a background person.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know what I mean? Some people like want to be writers. I know some people who come on stage is like, I love comedy, but my real passion is being a comedy writer.
Yeah.
Some people is like, I love writing, but I love stand up more than writing. There's no real
wrong answer.
Success. There's no real right answer, because it is who you are. For me, like, I want to be successful. My vision of success is like kind of just being like doing the podcast and like being a host and being like kind of like a Ryan Seacrest type.
Right. Okay, that's cool.
like hey man, like I'm doing like they asked me to host this like event, be an MC for it. Like that's like to me is like would be something that I would find appealing. Just like getting to meet people, doing these random interviews, talking to someone's like, and having like honest conversations. Like, oh, what do you think of your own movie? Like, did you like it? What was difficult? What was difficult about it? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Ask questions that people don't want to ask.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Well, thank you for having me on. I had a great time.
Once again, plug your Instagram, YouTube, your TikTok.
So you can find Ranjib the Magnificent on YouTube at the Ranjib the Magnificent. YouTube.com/Ranjib the Magnificent, on Instagram at the Magnificent Ranjib, and on Facebook at Ranjib the Magnificent. You can follow me, Abe Parr, on Instagram at ABEPARR. Or we do a quarterly show called the Party Reject Show, and that's on Instagram, so follow that
nice.
too.
When does that usually happen, and where does it usually happen?
Usually happens right now at the Third Wheel.
Nice.
And it's a floating date. It's once a quarter. As of right now, we're trying to.
That's such a tech thing to use. Once a quarter, it's like once every like.
Yeah, right. And then my tech and comedy blending in.
It's like right? So once a quarter at the third
Third Wheel. Yeah, follow us on Instagram to get more details. The Party Rejects.
Party Rejects. All right, thank you, Abe. I really appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Take care, y'all.